What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA. All right, everybody. So let's talk about this situation with Kathleen Kennedy because it's now becoming pretty obvious and clear. They're pretty much saying it. All right. They're saying it right to your face that we don't care about what you, the fans, want. We just don't care. We never cared, and we always knew they didn't care, but now they're saying it. They're saying it right in your face, so there's no mistaking it. We don't care what you, the fans, think. We don't care what George Lucas wanted. We don't care anything about this franchise except we're going to use it to get our shit off, all right? To tell you the stories that we want to tell. Not the stories that may fit within the Star Wars universe or the galaxy. Not those stories. No. We're interested in our shit and making sure that that gets the biggest possible spotlight ever. And we're going to use the Star Wars franchise to do it. We've been saying it. That's what all of these activists do. They basically take over these franchises. They run them into the ground with their own bullshit. You know? But yeah, shout out to Marvin Montanaro in that Park Place. Kathleen Kennedy says Star Wars stories no longer need to connect to the originals as Mark Hamill backs away from Luke Skywalker in the future. Yeah, Mark Hamill can back all the way up out of there. We just recast Luke and just keep telling stories without Mark Hamill. That part's fine. But the part that I'm really pissed off at is this part where she says, oh, the stories no longer need to connect to the originals. You know, and it starts here, all right? It kind of starts with this situation where they found a print of the original 1977 Star Wars that George Lucas never wanted shown. He says, hey, look, you know what? I had a vision of what this movie should be, and I made that with the special editions, you know? I remastered it. I did some stuff to it. I did the special editions, you know, with the new effects and everything. That's the movie. That was my vision as the filmmaker. That's what I want to see. I don't want this other vision or this other version shown any longer. And they said, nah, we don't care about that, George. We're going to do what we want to do anyway. Now, there's a lot of Star Wars fans that still wanted to see the original. And, you know, again, if you had that original VHS tape, all right, way back in the day, I used to have a copy of that. It's gone now. But if you had that original VHS tape, then, okay, yeah, you could go and watch that. Other than that, nah, you can't watch it. It's over. It's done with. You know, George Lucas, he made his move. And you just have to accept that this man is the creator. A lot of people had a problem with it. You know, I was one of these people. It's like, hey, George said it. It is what it is, you know. But at the end of the day, it really comes back now to Kathleen basically just doing what it is that they want to do. Let's go ahead and read this article. Kathleen Kennedy doesn't think the future of Star Wars lies in honoring its past. Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy is once again under fire from longtime Star Wars fans, this time for new comments she made while promoting a rare theatrical screening of the original 1977 Star Wars at the BFI Film on Film Festival in London. The showing featured the original cut of the film, famously unavailable on modern home media. Ironically, the screening appears to have gone ahead against the wishes of George Lucas, who has long resisted releasing the unaltered versions of his films. Yeah, George, they ain't doing nothing you wanted, all right? Right now at Lucasfilm, it is just whatever we want to do, and you are in the rearview mirror. They might as well just call it Kennedy Film. Why is George Lucas's name even on this shit? But Kennedy wasn't just there to introduce the film. She also made some eyebrow-raising statements about where Star Wars is heading next, and perhaps more tellingly, what Lucasfilm is ready to leave behind in the future. I really think that now we're in a position where it's broadened the possibilities of stories and filmmakers we can bring in to tell stories that mean something to them, she said. Who's them? Who's them? Who's the them here, Kathleen? Well, that's the filmmakers. Okay, well, the filmmakers that you've been hiring over there have been doing a shit job at having something that means something to the fans. All right? What about something that means something to your audience that you're supposed to be selling these stories to? Y'all remember this headline on Bounded in the Comics? Kathleen Kennedy said, you've written a great Star Wars show talking about the Acolyte. All right, that first part immediately disqualifies her from ever touching Star Wars again. You've written a great Star Wars show. Where? Where? Can I see that? Can I watch that show? Because the show we watched, that was hot garbage. Now go write a Leslie Headland show. Yeah, that's what happens when, oh, we need them to make something that means something to them. Yeah, when you make something that means something to them, you get the Acolyte. All right, that's what you get. Make something that means something to your damn fans. You came in, you hijacked the franchise, and then what they want to do is they just want to tell their own stories in the franchise. Fuck the fans. Hey, what about us? We're the ones that have built this franchise up, that made it marketable, that made it viable. That made it something that, filmmakers wanted to play around in, the quote-unquote sandbox, as they call it. It was the fans that did that. Why don't y'all make something for the fans? Nah, we ain't interested in that. We just got to make something that means something to them. And this is why Star Wars is losing. All right, this is exactly why Star Wars is losing. It doesn't necessarily have to connect to every little thing that's been done in Star Wars. It can actually be a standalone story that then builds into many other stories. Yeah, but what it needs to be is Star Wars, and it needs to be for the fans, not for them. The filmmakers have to understand that. Look, when you're coming into this franchise, you are stepping into George Lucas's franchise. It is not your personal plaything for you to just do whatever it is you want to do with it. Nah, that's not the way this shit works. And that's the reason why Star Wars fails. She's basically telling you, this is what's been in Kathleen Kennedy's marching orders. This is what she's been doing ever since she took over Lucasfilm.
We have 50% of our executive team are women. Mm-hmm. And 6 out of 8 of the people in my story group are women. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that would be surprised that we're making Star Wars movies and the majority of the people involved in the development of those stories are women. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's making a huge difference in the stories that we're trying to tell.
It's making a huge difference in the stories we're trying to tell. You heard her. It's making a huge difference in the stories we're trying to tell. Well, what stories are those? Oh, well, we're trying to tell stories that mean something to them. To these lousy-ass filmmakers that are not Star Wars fans and couldn't give a goddamn about the franchise at all. Like Leslie Headland. I love all the Star Wars. Yeah, okay, yeah, you love all the Star Wars. Yeah, you wrote a great Star Wars story, too. And by the way, how did that do? Oh, yeah, 19% with the audience. The audience absolutely rejected your bullshit. So, yeah, why don't y'all try this? Why don't you make stories for Star Wars fans? Okay? Or better yet, if you want to make your bullshit, make it in a different franchise. Like, this is the one thing I still don't understand. Kathleen Kennedy, you're the head of Lucasfilm. You can create a brand new franchise. Okay? You don't have to sit here and destroy what George Lucas built. Oh, but see, nobody would watch our franchise if it was just us making it. We got to attach it to something greater than us. Otherwise, nobody's going to watch our trash. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. That's basically what it is. Make a new franchise. You're the president. You're supposed to be this great producer. Make a new franchise and then have Leslie Headland and all these other yo-yos go over there and make shit over there. You can call it Basurda. Basurda the franchise. And Leslie Headland can just play over there all she wants to. She can do all of this space witch bullshit. She can do it all over there. But see, they don't have enough confidence in their own writing and creative ability. They got to stand on the shoulders of giants and then piss all over everything that they did. That's what really pisses me off, because Star Wars still actually has some viability if the people that, were ahead of it knew what they were doing and cared about it. All right. If they knew what George Lucas was trying to accomplish. With his blend of Eastern and Western influences, he had all of these various mythologies going on, the hero's journey, this classic battle of good and evil. Like, if you found somebody that understood everything George was trying to accomplish with Star Wars, with the original trilogy, and then you just, hey, let's just move it on over here into a new generation, I think Star Wars still has action. But not with Kathleen Kennedy at the helm. There's no way in hell. It just doesn't. It doesn't necessarily have to connect to every little thing that's been done in Star Wars. It can actually be a standalone story that then builds into many other stories. Yeah, see, but the problem is that you still need somebody that understands Star Wars and understands the fan base. Yeah, and see, look, Marvin's talking about it right here. Critics have pointed out that Kennedy's language about stories that mean something to the filmmakers may explain the increasingly disjointed tone of recent Star Wars media. Instead of focusing on what resonates with audiences, many feel the franchise has become a sandbox for directors to express personal ideologies, sometimes at the expense of continuity or fan goodwill. Again, that's exactly why they need to go and make their own shit. Hey, just get out of this franchise, create a new franchise under the banner of Lucasfilm. It'll have all the backing and support. You can slap that Lucasfilm logo in front of it, and that might get some people to come in, but keep it out of Star Wars. Like, when you've departed so far away from the original intent of George Lucas, it's a new franchise anyway, which is why we say Disney Star Wars. It's practically its own thing. It's doing its own thing. Has nothing to do with Star Wars. So why not just create something new and not destroy Star Wars in the process of you doing your bullshit? Why not doing that? Because deep down, you know that if you had to stand on your own 2 feet, you would fall and fail, which is what Star Wars is doing. Now you're making Star Wars fall and fail by pushing your bullshit ideology through it, which is the worst sin. It's like, it's one thing if you're just making crap, all right? If you're just making crap within the IP because you don't really have any talent, so you're just going to IP mine and you're just going to make crap out of it. But it's another thing to then slap your ideologies on top of it. So now it's just a vehicle for our bullshit agenda instead of actually being like a real story that means something to the fans that built this thing in the first place. They don't understand what they're doing. And they are ruining a great franchise that this man right here, all right, George Lucas, worked his ass off to build. Now people be like, oh man, Disney saved Star Wars. I've heard that damn argument a million times. Like, no, the hell they did not. They destroyed it. If Star Wars was left alone, Star Wars would be in a much healthier place. But here we are again, Kathleen Kennedy destroying shit as she always does. All right. You know, and it's sad too, because like I said, Star Wars still has meat on the bone. All right. They still have a little bit left. And they could possibly, if they got the right people in the mix, they could like re-energize the franchise and save it and give it to the next generation. Generations are checking out. Gen Z is, they're not messing with Star Wars. Gen Alpha behind them, they're not messing with Star Wars. All of these franchises are going to go belly up. And guess who they're going to blame when that happens? Is it going to be Kathleen's fault? No. It's those toxic dude pros. That's who they're going to blame. They're going to blame the toxic fans. Instead of looking in the mirror and saying, you know what? That's us. We destroyed an easy layup franchise. We should have just been able to print money off of this. But because we care about our ideology and the stories we want to tell, this is basically where we're at. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think about this, man. Nothing's going to change till this woman is gone, until they fire everybody up underneath her. All right, Dave Filoni ain't saving the franchise. All right, I don't think anybody that works over there at Lucasfilm is saving this thing. It is a dead franchise until they get some fresh meat in there, they get some fresh ideas in there, people that actually care about storytelling. You know, we'll see what happens. But you guys let me know what y'all think about it. Go ahead, jump down in the comments. Give me your thoughts and opinions on that. Thanks for watching. See you next time.